Shalom. Call Allah Yahweh Shemi Al Shai by Shem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone that taught us His truth, the 100% truth. Peace and blessings to the elect, the nation of Israel, and the beginning begins with the 144,000 who are the prophets today. Also the great multitude, men, women, and children, the Heavenly Father is going to have mercy on. And you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the true Hebrew Israelites, and that is according to the Holy Scriptures. And I'm coming with another lesson, and this is your brother Dawadah, and this lesson is entitled, Trials and Tribulations are the best thing for you in your life. And the reason why I say that is because, and what I want to speak on, and what is important in our lives, that will be the trials and tribulations that you catch, while you're in this truth, And the reason why I want to speak on this topic is because, I've dealt with some things in my life, trials in my own life, recently, problems that I dealt with, on my job, you know what I'm saying? And now, and now my transportation, you know what I'm saying? Without being able to have transportation to get around, But through these trials, you know what I'm saying? It makes you become stronger, you know what I'm saying? And I give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Shemi Al Shai, keeping me even more focused and building me up even more now in these times. So I'm pretty much sure, other brothers is dealing with a lot of stuff too. The argument is probably dealing with different, circumstances that they have to go through, and they can attest to that, And it's only it's going to build our faith up, And these trials is only preparing us for what's to come, you know what I'm saying? What's coming to Babylon the Great, in the future. And this is only a light affliction, you know what I'm saying, that we're dealing with, This light affliction is nothing compared to what Yahweh Shai, went through. That was crucified for us, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you know what I'm saying? His people. He dealt with a whole lot, you know what I'm saying? Sweating blood in the Garden of Gethsemane, you know what I'm saying? Just dealing with all kind of things that he dealt with on a daily basis, just dealing with a lot, you know what I'm saying? And we have to understand these things that we have to remember is that we're going to catch hell, you know what I'm saying, while we're in this truth, you know what I'm saying? And that's the part of the trials and tribulations, you know what I'm saying, that we have to face, you know what I'm saying, each and every day, the hard times, but it's okay, and what we are going to do, what we're going to remember is, these are things that we're going to remember, you know what I'm saying? We have to realize Yahweh Shai went through, a lot more than what we're going through, you know what I'm saying? Because this is just a light affliction to us, you know what I'm saying? This is really nothing, especially, like I said again, what Yahweh Shemi Al Shai went through for his people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to get that too, that light affliction in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17. Yeah. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, work for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Yeah. So we should be thankful, you know what I'm saying, that Yahweh Shemi Al Shai every day and all day has woken us to this truth, because we don't even deserve it, you know what I'm saying? For all the wickedness that we have done in our life, you know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking about me, you know what I'm saying? That he has, you know, been so kind and gracious to 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 basically, you know, put his life on the line for our people and died for the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites, you know? So we need to be thankful for everything, you know what I'm saying? You know? And the best thing to do is, man, shut the hell up. And I'm speaking for myself first and foremost. It's, you know, and just because I mentioned that about me, you know, going through some trials, you know what I'm saying, you know, recently in these last 2 or 3 years, it's okay. That's why I'm telling my, you know, saying shut the hell up, you know, and don't be complaining, you know, because it can be way worse, you know. And I appreciate, you know, for these trials that I have to go through, you know. And I'm pretty sure it's only it only has built up you know, the Akim, you know, spirit more and more each and every time they go through different struggles, you know what I'm saying, in their life, you know. And once you realize, you know, all that light affliction that you go through in Babylon, it's worth it, you know what I'm saying, because you realize that victory has already been won. The victory has been won through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. So we just have to hope, you know what I'm saying, and endure it to the end, you know. And some brothers gonna, you know, make it, and some brothers not, you know what I'm saying, to endure to him. Some brothers gonna get martyred, but it's all for Yahweh. It's all for Yahweh Shem Shai, you know what I'm saying, you know. Which this is a beautiful thing, you know, that we're working towards. To go through, you know, certain situations and trials in your life that you have to deal with, you know. And we know something, you know, you have to work for, you know, it's not gonna be handed to you. Because when you work for something and you know you work hard for it and you receive it, you appreciate it even more, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you put your all into it. But you also have to understand that everyone is not gonna make it, you know what I'm saying? Some brothers will be, you know, like I said again, beheaded, you know, get their head chopped off, you know, be put in concentration camps, become homeless, lose some family members, you know what I'm saying? Might lose your woman or your kids, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with all kind of different elements, sick, you know what I'm saying? Lose everything as far as your possessions, anything, everything, you know? Putting all because you put all, you know, your trust, your truth, and your trust in truth. I mean, trust in this truth, you know what I'm saying? Like they say, making your calling election sure, you know, instead of this wicked place, you know what I'm saying? Because this place is not worth it, you know? You know, this place is not worth it. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11. Now no chastening for the present seem to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yield the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Yeah. And now no chastening for the present seems to be joyous, and but grievous. Yeah, that chastening we will say that's that fire. You know what I'm saying? Getting chastised. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a you know, being chastised. That's not a bad thing, because that's only gonna build your character. That's only gonna get you through, especially when these times are coming. You know, to Babylon, where you'll be able to deal with certain situations where you might go hungry for 2 or 3 days, you know. But through the trials and tribulations now that you're dealing with, you'll be already able to understand that, hey, I went through these and it prepared me for that, you know. So don't get discouraged, you know what I'm saying, because there's gonna be days like that that's coming in the future, you know what I'm saying. So you just have to, you know, keep on pushing forward, you know. And don't worry about the things that you're dealing with in Babylon the Great now, because we all gonna be faced with different things. You know what I'm saying? That we gonna have to go through the struggle. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to Sirach 2:1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, Yahweh Shem Al Shai, prepare thy soul for temptation. Yeah, and in this truth, you should expect to go through, a lot of, you should understand that you're gonna go through some struggles. You know what I'm saying? And in every fashion, we're gonna be tested. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what Yahweh Shem Al Shai is doing. He's testing you to see if you can deal with certain situations to build up your faith. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the Most High did. He tried us in the wilderness, And that's how he deals with his sons, you know what I'm saying? He chastises who he loves, you know what I'm saying? Verse 2, set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. Yeah. And that word heart in the Hebrew is la'ab, Basically, get your mind right. Yeah. Get your mind right, while living in Babylon, you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be, you're going to be tested with temptations, you know what I'm saying? You're going to suffer. You're going to go through things that you're going to realize it's all a test, you know what I'm saying? And make not haste in time of trouble. Yeah. Don't give up so easy when times get hard, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what most people do in this world. They give up when things get rough, especially these people that's in the world, you know what I'm saying? But this truth, you know what I'm saying, being in the truth and understanding what's going on now, you should be able to deal with the things that the world can't deal with, because they just throw in the towel real quick. And you see a lot of people doing that to this day now, man, because they're giving up. They don't know. They don't understand, because they have their emotions attached to this world. Instead of realizing that this place is done, you know what I'm saying? It's done. Verse 3, and cleave unto him and depart not away, thou mayest be increased by the last end. Yeah. So, increase in the last, and that increase helps you grow. Every time that you're dealing with certain stuff, you're able to increase in that in those troubling times where you know that your spirit is growing, and like I said again, that helps you when hard times come, being able to go through that suffering, that's pleasing to the Most High. Verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient while thou art changed to a low estate. Yeah. And we must be patient, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you're in this truth, And the next verse is the reason why, you know what I'm saying? Verse 5, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Yeah. In order for gold to be purified, what happens? It has to go through that furnace of adversity, you know what I'm saying? And that gold is speaking about the Akim, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's described. It's describing the Akim going through different, adversities and different things in our lives that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, that we know that this is a test to build our faith up, you know what I'm saying? And the brothers is pushing this truth out on the four corners of the earth, you know what I'm saying, day by day, understanding that they're going through, you know what I'm saying, nothing but hell, And each brother is dealing with something different, you know what I'm saying? And that gold is comparing, comparing us to these trials, you know what I'm saying? When that fire is heated up, That's speaking about the things that you're dealing with in your day-to-day walk, your lives, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes we get caught up, you know what I'm saying, in that fire. But you got to realize, you know what I'm saying, we have something to fall back on. We have something to fall back on. Yahweh Shem outside. These niggas don't. You know what I'm saying? Because they putting their trust in man. You know what I'm saying? You know? You know? And that's what they do. But one thing we could do is we can lean on this truth. You know? And the reason why we in this fire is because the Lord is testing us, like I say. It's a test, you know, to prepare you for what's to come. Because what's coming to this place, man, you can only imagine. You know what I'm saying? These people they don't know what's going on. They like a lost cause, you know what I'm saying? You know? And what does the first verse say again, you know what I'm saying? My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, prepare thy soul for temptation. Yeah. Because that's how Babylon operates. There's none but confusion here. So you're going to be tested with nothing but temptation, you know? And that's every day you walk out the door, you know what I'm saying? You're going to deal with temptation, you know? There's nothing you can do about that, you know? So it's a part of the walk, you know what I'm saying? That you have to deal with and keep it moving, you know? Let's go back to verse 6. Sirach chapter 2, verse 6. Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him. Yeah. You know? And that's why, you know, and that's why I say this truth is important, because we're trusting in Yahweh Shem Shai. We're not trusting in this fake evil world that doesn't have no value. You know what I'm saying? Just like a prime example, when Shadrach, Meshach, and the Billy Goat, you know, when they was doing that fiery furnace, and they said turn that fire up even hotter, what they did, what did they do? Their faith increased, you know, more and more, and they understood that they serve a higher power. They serve Yahweh Shem Shai. So they didn't lean on, you know, what was spoken to them. They didn't lean on that. They leaned on, you know, that even if since they was put in that fiery furnace, they knew that they had a higher power that was going to get them out of that circumstance. And they didn't bow down. You know what I'm saying? And that's why no matter what, you know what I'm saying, we have to keep on pushing no matter what trials and tribulations that you go through, you know. We have to lean on Yahweh Shem Shai, you know. Yeah. Verse 7, and ye that fear the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, wait for his mercy and go not aside lest ye fall. Yeah. And this body is always is weak, because we in the flesh, you know what I'm saying? We gonna fall, you know. But we liken unto a sheep, you know what I'm saying? What's that scripture? You fall 77 times and you get up times 7, you get up, paraphrasing, you know. So like I said again, we gonna fall. But with the shepherd, can nobody mess with us. You know what I'm saying? No other predators, animals, wolves, anything. You know what I'm saying? When we with our shepherd, you know, Yahweh Shem Shai, but soon when that sheep go astray, we pretty much fucked up, because now we allowing the world guide us. And what's gonna happen to that? You know what I'm saying? That's not gonna look good, you know. So yeah, let me get an oldie but goodie, Psalms 23, yeah. Because what it says, you know, my Lord is my shepherd, yeah. Yeah. The Lord is my shepherd, you know. Read that real quick. Psalms 23, verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, yeah. Because like we say again, all our trust is in Yahweh Shem Shai, through the trials and tribulations that we're going to deal with, you know. dealing with things that, might be with your kids, your wife, being a demon, whoever chick you talking to being a demon, you going to your jobs, you catching hell, barely can pay your bills, because you ain't making enough money, food steady going up, might be eating every other day, but that's all a part of the trials and tribulations, that you shouldn't even have to worry about, because Yahweh Shem Shai got you, And I'm going to read these last two verses and I'm going to close on out. Verse 8, ye that fear the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, believe him, and your reward should not fail. Yeah. Verse 9, ye that fear the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, hope for good and for everlasting joy and mercy. Yeah. So all these verses I'm reading, pretty much it's talking about faith. And what's the fear of the Lord? The fear of the Lord is wisdom, and that's what we're in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of these scriptures. So that's who we fear. And fearing Yahweh Shem Shai, we believe in him. We will receive a reward and should not fail. When we, be beamed up and put on those chariots, we're going to understand that, hey, we put our all into it, even through the trials and tribulations, So don't put your trust in this place. Don't care about this place, because this place is going down, And like he said in here, he said, and this is what we're hoping for, the everlasting joy and mercy. And the everlasting joy and mercy is when that time comes when Babylon is destroyed. When Babylon is no more, here. This rulership, this kingdom is done with. But through all the trials and tribulations that we're dealing with and we're going through now, just count it all joy, because it's all a test to help guide you through the straight gate. Because we got to go through the straight gate, not the broad, way. So we got to be thankful, appreciative, no matter what hell you catching. Keep your head up and keep on pressing forward. So I hope this was edifying. I want to say Shalom. I want to say call all Yahweh by Shem Shai by Shem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone that rule and teach well. Peace and salutations to the occupant of the four corners risking their lives each and every week on the highways and the byways. And to the brothers and sisters tuning in for edification. Come with another lesson. This is your brother Dawada. Shalom.